This is the Fogstar Energy 48-volt IP65-rated modular stack battery. It is made up from a base plate, individual 16 kilowatt battery modules, and the top control panel. These battery modules feature Grade A LiFePO₄ prismatic cells with 8,000 cycles and a 91% depth of discharge. They are also individually feature 150 amp BMS, but with multiple batteries, you can get a 300 amp constant discharge. This battery is almost infinitely scalable from a single 16 kilowatt module, a 32 with 2, a 48 with 3, and the 64 with 4. Now, if you need more storage than 64 kilowatt hours, this will scale up with multiple stacks to 1.2 megawatt hours. Mental. These battery modules are not only equipped with their own BMS, but also with automatic cell heating, which means the cells will be warmed in sub-zero temperatures. And a feature we fitted that we hope you never need, but if you ever do, you'll be glad it's fitted: automatic fire suppression, which is an aerosol temperature triggered at around 170 degrees. Of course, like all our products, this is backed by the legendary Fogstar warranty. On this, it's 6 years with 10 years customer support. In this video, we're going to go full in depth from unboxing what you're going to get in your delivery, stacking the modules together, all of the wiring and cabling, communication and plugging into an inverter, and configuring the screen, setting everything up. Depending on the size of battery you've ordered, you will get a single or multiple battery modules in wooden crates like this, and in the cardboard box is the top control panel and base plate with your cables. In the cardboard box, you will get your top control module and the base unit with the wheels. They are bolted together. And then in the bottom of the cardboard box there, you will see the leads. Let's have a look at those now. You get your user manual and PC communication cable. Here is your inverter comms lead. These are your inverter power cables. We then have battery module to module communication cables and module to module power cables. You may notice that these module to module cables are different lengths. Don't worry, we'll show you exactly how they go together later on in this video. To separate the control panel from the base unit, there is 4 Allen screws on each end. It's as simple as that to separate the two. Now let's have a look at the battery module. To unbox the battery module, you need to bend these tabs up along here. That's easiest with a flat bladed screwdriver into the hole and then lift up as so. Once you bend all 10 tabs, simply lift the lid off. Now comes the effortlessly easy bit of just lifting the battery out of the case. Just kidding. These weigh 123 kilos each. We recommend 5 people to lift the battery module out of the case. Now the module is out of the crate, the heavy lifting still isn't done. We need to put the module on top of the base plate, making sure that the locating dowels are placed correctly. Now the battery module is on the base plate, you can place the control panel on the top, making sure it's lined up correctly, like that. If you've ordered a 16.1 modular stack battery, when it is together, this is exactly how you can expect it to look. It comprises of the base plate with wheels and adjustable feet. We've got the 16.1 kilowatt battery module, and at the top we've got the individual control panel. If you've ordered a 32 kilowatt stack, this is what you can expect it to look like. Again, we've got the base plate, 2 battery modules, and then the top control panel. If you order the 48 kilowatt hour modular stack, this is what you can expect it to look like. We have our base plate, 1, 2, 3 16 kilowatt modules, and then our top control panel. And if you've ordered the 64 kilowatt stack, this is what you can expect it to look like. 1 base plate, 4 battery modules, and the top control panel. Now that is what we call a battery. Once you have your modules in place, make sure you attach the safety brackets. This needs to be done at every stage of the modular build for safety reasons. Once you have your battery modules secured, you can then place the top control panel on, making sure it's located correctly. And this also needs to be secured at the sides with those safety brackets. Now the fun is over with the lifting and securing of the modules. We're going to turn our attention to wires and cabling. For that, I'm going to turn the battery around. I actually might need a hand for this for the video. This battery now weighs 517 kilos. Thanks for the help. All jokes aside, this does now weigh over half a ton. So if you're putting it into a house or somewhere, you need to make sure that the floor is rated for this amount of weight. To undo the covers for the cables, there is 2 Phillips screws on this side and then 2 further Phillips screws buried inside here. For the panels on the battery module, there is Allen screws here, and again, 2 further ones inside here. You will need an extension to get to those. However, I'm sure you have seen enough of me doing screws in this video, so let's just jump to the next bit. That was easy, wasn't it? Now that all the covers are off, you can see all of the ports on the modules and the control panel. This can look a bit daunting, but don't worry, it's not too bad. Let me break it down for you. Let's run through here. Let me show you exactly what's going on and what goes where. Okay, so starting at the top of the battery with the control panel. Here we have our 375 amp breaker. There is the positive lead out to your inverter. So this is the output from the whole of the stack battery. CAN A and B port is for parallel battery communication. So if you are running multiple stack batteries, parallel communication will be through these 2 ports here. There is an earth grounding screw for the top control panel. We have a CAN RS485 port. This is for communication with your inverter. This RS485 port is for PC communication, which comes with that USB lead that is in the box. So if there's ever a need for a software update or something like that, you can plug into this with your computer. There is the battery positive lead here. So this is the output from the battery module below to here to the top control panel. This is the battery negative lead that goes out to your inverter again. So this is the negative and this is the positive that you will take out from the battery stack to your inverter. And this is the battery negative for the modules below. And then this RS485 port is the communication from the top module to the control panel. And so on the back of the battery modules themselves, they're all exactly the same, they're all identical. So starting at the bottom here, we have RS485-2 port. This is for module to module communication. We have another earth screw here, and these are the parallel connection cables between modules and the top control board. We've got the same with those with the positive. There is a battery vent. This is the CAN RS485 port, so this is what talks to the top control module, and that will only be used for the top stack battery. Then over here we have RS485-1. Again, this is for module to module communication. So you'll have RS485-1 goes to RS485-2 on the module above it. And then the only other thing here is the power button. Now I've spoken about all of the ports, let's actually get them wired up. To start the wiring, we're going to start with the CAN communication leads. These are the short ones that are module to module communication. Do yourself a favour by just loosening that gland a little bit, sliding these back, just makes the initial installation a bit easier. You'll want to remove the cap from the RS485-1 port here, plug in that communication lead, slide the gland back over, and then securely fasten, making sure that the cable stays still so you don't kink that cable and potentially damage the wires. Once you've threaded the collar on nice and tight, you can then do up the gland. Again, just finger tight is plenty for this, but just want to make sure that communication port is watertight. Then from RS485-1 of the top of the lower module, you will come to RS485-2 on the bottom of the module above. Again, same thing, plug that in, slide the gland over and thread on the collar. Just finger tight and then tighten up that gland to make that waterproof seal. That is one module complete. Now let's do the others. slide the collar over and thread up nice and tight. Tighten up the gland. Goes into the RS4852 on the module above. Tighten up that collar. And then tighten up the gland. For the top battery module to the control panel, wiring is slightly different. We're going to go from this CAN RS485 port up to this RS485 port on the top of the controller. Be aware that one of these communication leads, although they look exactly the same, one is very slightly longer for this purpose. Don't ask me how I found that out. Now that the comms cables are in and done, we're going to turn our attention to the battery parallel power cables. So these are going to go from module to module. So on the lowest battery module, we want to remove the upper of the positive and negative dust caps, and the lower of the module above, positive and negative dust caps. These are quite stiff and they are quite tricky to fit, but they do go in. They are the right size. You've just got to give them a bit of a wiggle. Perfect. And then there's a little black securing tab on the top that you push in, and that locks the connector to make sure it can't come undone. Same again for the negative. Again, put them in a little bit at a time, just so it keeps that cable nice and parallel, and it means that it just fits in a little bit nicer, but they are stiff. Give them a wiggle and push those tabs in afterwards. Same again on the module above. On the lower battery you will take the upper port, and on the upper battery you will take the lower port. Push those tabs in to lock in place. Push the wire in, listen for the click, and then push the black tab. If for any reason you need to remove a cable, you need to slide back the black plastic tab on both top and bottom, and then push in here. This pivots like this, and then you can pull back on the connector. And remove. That is the module to module power cables done. Now let's connect the modules to the top control unit. So for this, we're going top positive port on the top module, and that goes over to positive port on the control board. Now with the negative cable, things are a little bit different. We're going to be coming from the bottom battery module all the way up to the top control panel. So we're going to thread this down through the communication cables just to keep everything nice and neat, and plug that in down there. And then this will plug into the B- port up here. He says as he just wiggles it. There we go. Done. It's important to note at this stage that the top battery module will have nothing in the upper negative port, and the bottom battery module will have nothing in the lower positive port. Also, for the purposes of the video and assembling this, we haven't connected an earth to the earth points on each module and the top control board, but make sure you do that, don't miss that stage. Now the wiring's done, you can refit the covers that go over the cables. Important to note at this point, do yourself a favour and leave this bottom cover off, because if you happen to drop a bolt on the upper cover, it drops all the way down here and you've got to take that cover off to get to it. Don't ask me how I know. Next step is we need to make the inverter connections here at the top with the control panel. So we're going to take off our positive and negative dust covers and then plug in your inverter positive. These are exactly the same connections as the rest of the battery. Same with the negative and the comms. Again, same with this, loosen the gland so that you can slide the cable out. For the inverter connection, we're going to be plugging into the CAN RS485 port here. That is our inverter connections done. Now we're ready to put the top cover on. For the sake of orientation, your cable outlets are on the top here. So we're going to slide the power cables through those very holes. Like that. And then your communication cable will come through this larger port at the back. That's it. And it's just a matter of sliding these down, getting them to fit up nice and neat. Another pair of hands would be good on this, but you get the idea. There we go. We're ready to put the screws in and fix this cover in place. Secure the panel back in with the Phillips screws. Once you've done the top cover, put the lower panel on, and that is your battery assembled and ready to connect to your inverter. Connecting the battery to your inverter couldn't be more simple. Simply connect the positive battery lead to the positive battery input and the negative lead to the negative battery input on your inverter, and then plug in the comms to the RS485 or CAN BMS port, depending on the model of your inverter. If I had an inverter here, I could show you the pair working together. Oh, how convenient. Now it's time to turn on our battery. So do that by switching on the breaker first. Then you'll need to take the back of a ballpoint pen and poke down through and switch on the modules. Turn on the top module first. This will determine this one to be the master, and then work your way down the stack, turning on the power buttons at the back. You'll then see that the screen has lit up, and so is our inverter. Now, if the room was a bit darker, you'd also see that the status LED bars are lit up. How smart is that? Let's take you to the screen. And can I have the lights back on, please? I don't like the dark. Oh, that's better. Right, let me talk you through the screen and some of the user interface on here. First things first though, gotta get this off. Oh, the best bit. Here on the home screen, you will get the basic battery information. Here you'll see the remaining amp hours in the pack, the state of charge as a percentage, and current operation of the pack. This one is in standby. You'll have the total pack voltage, current in and out, total capacity of all the modules added together, cycle count, max and minimum temperatures, and then the control buttons down the bottom. Down here you will see the status button. If you click that, you can select the individual pack or module, and at the bottom here you will see the status of the battery. On this example, you'll see that discharge and charge is on, heating is off, and so is the balancing. This is also where you will have any warnings or protections listed if there is any error codes with this module. Next, we have the battery itself. We will be able to pick again any pack that we like. This is where you're going to see individual cell voltages, individual module voltage, and state of charge. We have the current coming in or out of this pack and remaining capacity of this pack. You'll also see here your temperature differences, ambient temperatures, power temperatures, and cell difference. To set the protocol on the battery, tap the protocol, select the protocol required for your inverter, and then simply exit the screen. Your protocol is set. We also have a language button down here. There are languages to come in the future. Last down in this corner is the shutdown button. We have put this in as a safety precaution. If you touch this, the battery will shut down all modules and the top control panel. However, you cannot turn it back on from the screen, so you have to manually turn the battery on with the power switches at the back. Bear this in mind. Hi, I've got a few questions about this battery, if that's okay. Sure, fire away. Can I add more batteries or expand this in the future? Yes, you absolutely can expand the battery system to suit your needs in the future. You can add additional modules up to this, a 64 kilowatt hour stack. If you require more storage than that, you can put another stack next to it, parallel communication cables, they'll talk to each other, and you're up and running. Are there any installation requirements that I should be aware of? Yeah, when installing your battery, there are a few things to bear in mind. In this format, at 64 kilowatt hours, this battery weighs 517 kilos, so you want to make sure it's on a decent concrete floor. The other thing we recommend is 300 mil of clearance around all sides, just for that additional cooling purposes. And if you want to install it outside, that's not a problem. It's IP65 rated, so that's not an issue. We do recommend putting a cover over the top, keeping out the worst of the weather wherever possible. This includes the sun as well. Try and keep it out of the sun where you can. Keep the temperatures down a bit. What inverters is the battery compatible with? The modular stack battery is compatible with most mainstream low voltage inverters, but if you're not sure whether your inverter is compatible or not, just give us a call, no problem. Do I need to manually set the voltage on the battery? No, you don't need to manually set battery voltages. Everything is dealt with from the BMS via communication to the inverter. They will talk to each other. The battery will tell the inverter exactly what it needs. Okay, so can I use the battery without communication? Yes, you can use the battery without communications if necessary. We always recommend using communication wherever possible. Just keeps everything running a little bit sweeter. So what's the temperature range of the battery? Is there specifics for that? The battery is designed to operate in the worst of the English weather, so it'll handle up to 45 degrees and down to -20. The battery is equipped with cell heating, which is automatic and triggers at 0 degrees. Anything below 0, it will start to heat the cells before it starts to charge them, just to make sure nothing gets damaged. Is the battery equipped with any safety features or anything else? Yeah, sure. The battery is equipped with a few safety features. Obviously, each module does have its own BMS. This monitors current and voltages as well as cell balancing to make sure those cells are super happy inside. If for any reason there is an issue, we have an aerosol fire suppression system in there that is triggered at about 170 degrees. So that will cause a chemical reaction with the lithium and put out any potential hazards that might arise. Well, that sounds well thought out. So why should I choose Fogstar? Good question. For starters, we're a small UK-based company, UK customer service and tech support. We also stock parts for all of our batteries, so if you ever have an issue, we can get you back up and running as soon as possible. And of course, it's backed by the legendary Fogstar warranty. What's not to love? Look at it. That's great. Thanks so much. This looks fantastic. Appreciate it. Sure, no worries. So if you want to get yourself one of these absolute monsters in your house, check out the website fogstar.co.uk or just contact one of the team. We're around. Thanks for watching. I better get out of here, I guess.